What if we could change the world by changing how we think? It's a big question, but one that's worth exploring. Our world faces many challenges today, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. But what if there was a way to approach these problems differently? What if, instead of seeing ourselves as separate individuals, we could tap into a greater sense of connection and unity? This is where the idea of unity consciousness comes in. Unity consciousness is a way of thinking that goes beyond our individual selves. It's about understanding that we're all part of something bigger. Instead of just focusing on me, it's about recognizing we. This shift in thinking can have a powerful impact on how we see the world and how we interact with others. Think about it this way: when we only consider our own needs and wants, we might make decisions that benefit us in the short term, but harm others or the environment in the long run. But when we start to see ourselves as connected to everyone and everything around us, we naturally start to make choices that are better for the whole. This concept isn't new. Many ancient philosophies and spiritual traditions have talked about the interconnectedness of all things. But in our modern world, with its focus on individual achievement and competition, we've often lost sight of this wisdom. Now, as we face global challenges like climate change, inequality, and conflict, rediscovering this sense of unity could be more important than ever. So, what exactly is unity consciousness? At its core, it's the understanding that we're all part of the same whole. It's the recognition that what affects one of us affects all of us in some way. This doesn't mean we lose our individuality or our unique perspectives. Instead, it's about expanding our awareness to include a broader view of the world and our place in it. Unity consciousness can change how we approach problems. When we see ourselves as separate from others, it's easy to fall into an us versus them mentality. This can lead to conflict, competition, and a lack of cooperation. But when we start to see the connections between all people and all things, we're more likely to look for solutions that benefit everyone. This shift in thinking can have real-world impacts. When communities come together with a shared sense of purpose, they can achieve amazing things. We've seen this in grassroots movements that have led to significant social change, in scientific collaborations that have resulted in groundbreaking discoveries, and in global efforts to address environmental issues. But unity consciousness isn't just about big, world-changing actions. It starts with how we think and act in our daily lives. It's about treating others with kindness and respect, recognizing that their well-being is connected to our own. It's about making choices that consider the broader impact, not just on ourselves, but on our communities and the planet as a whole. Now let's look at the current state of our world. We're facing some big challenges. Climate change is threatening ecosystems and communities around the globe. Economic inequality is growing, with many people struggling to meet their basic needs. Conflicts continue to cause suffering in many parts of the world. And despite our technological connectedness, many people feel more isolated and divided than ever. These problems can seem insurmountable when we approach them from an individual perspective. But when we start to think in terms of unity consciousness, new possibilities open up. We begin to see that these challenges aren't separate issues, but interconnected parts of a larger whole. And we start to realize that by working together, we have the power to create positive change. This is where the power of collective thinking comes in. When we pool our knowledge, skills, and resources, we can achieve things that would be impossible for any one person alone. This isn't just a nice idea, there's scientific evidence to back it up. Studies have shown that diverse groups working together can often come up with better solutions than even the smartest individuals working alone. we've seen the power of collective action throughout history. Think about the major social movements that have brought about positive change. These weren't the work of single individuals, but of many people coming together with a shared vision and purpose. When we tap into unity consciousness, we can harness this same power to address the challenges we face today. But to do this, we need to break down the barriers that keep us separate. These barriers can take many forms. Sometimes they're physical, like the borders between countries. Often, they're mental, the prejudices and preconceptions that keep us from truly connecting with others who seem different from us. And sometimes, they're emotional, the fear and mistrust that can arise when we feel threatened or uncertain. Breaking down these barriers isn't always easy, but it's essential if we want to create a more united world. It starts with recognizing our shared humanity. Despite our differences in culture, language, or beliefs, we all share basic human needs and desires. We all want to be safe, to be loved, to have purpose in our lives. One way to start breaking down barriers is through communication. When we take the time to truly listen to others, to try to understand their perspectives and experiences, we often find that we have more in common than we thought. This doesn't mean we'll always agree, but it can help us find common ground and work together more effectively. Education also plays a crucial role in fostering unity consciousness. By learning about different cultures, beliefs, and ways of life, we can expand our understanding of the world and our place in it. This knowledge can help break down stereotypes and prejudices that often keep us divided. Another important aspect of unity consciousness is recognizing our connection to the natural world. In many modern societies, we've become disconnected from nature. We often see ourselves as separate from the environment rather than as part of it. But the reality is that we depend on the natural world for our survival, and our actions have a significant impact on the planet's ecosystems. By reconnecting with nature, we can start to see ourselves as part of a larger ecological system. This shift in perspective can lead to more sustainable choices in our daily lives and support for broader environmental efforts. It can also bring personal benefits, as spending time in nature has been shown to reduce stress and improve overall well-being. Now, you might be wondering if there's any scientific basis for the idea of unity consciousness. While the concept itself comes from philosophical and spiritual traditions, there is research that supports some of its key ideas. For example, studies in the field of social psychology have shown that people who feel a strong sense of connection to others tend to be happier and healthier. They're more likely to engage in prosocial behaviors, actions that benefit others, and they often report a greater sense of meaning and purpose in their lives. There's also interesting research in the field of quantum physics that suggests everything in the universe is interconnected at a fundamental level. While the implications of this for human consciousness are still debated, it provides a fascinating scientific perspective on the idea of unity. Another area of study that relates to unity consciousness is research on collective intelligence. This field looks at how groups of people can work together to solve problems and make decisions. Studies have found that groups with high levels of social sensitivity, the ability to perceive and respond to others' emotions, tend to perform better on a wide range of tasks. There's even research on the effects of group meditation and prayer. Some studies have suggested that when large groups of people meditate together with a focus on peace, it can have a measurable impact on reducing violence in the surrounding area. While these findings are still considered preliminary, they point to the potential power of collective consciousness. So how can we start to develop unity consciousness in our own lives? It's not something that happens overnight, but there are practical steps we can take to move in this direction. One of the simplest ways to start is by practicing mindfulness. This involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. By becoming more aware of our thoughts and feelings, we can start to notice the connections between our inner experiences and the world around us. Meditation is another powerful tool for developing unity consciousness. Through regular meditation practice, we can learn to quiet the constant chatter of our minds and tap into a deeper sense of connection with ourselves and others. Practicing gratitude is also important. When we take time each day to appreciate the good things in our lives, including the people and experiences that support us, we naturally start to feel more connected to the world around us. Another key aspect of developing unity consciousness is learning to see things from different perspectives. We can do this by actively seeking out diverse viewpoints, whether through reading, conversation, or travel. The more we expose ourselves to different ways of thinking and living, the more we expand our understanding of the world. Community involvement is also crucial. By participating in local groups or organizations, we can build connections with others and work together towards common goals. This could be anything from joining a community garden to volunteering at a local charity. As we start to develop unity consciousness, we often notice a ripple effect. Our actions and attitudes begin to influence those around us. Just as negativity can spread through a group, so can positivity and a sense of connection. This ripple effect can start small. Maybe you smile at a stranger and they pass that kindness on to someone else. Or perhaps you make an environmentally friendly choice, inspiring others to do the same. These small actions might seem insignificant on their own, but they can add up to create meaningful change. It's important to remember that developing unity consciousness isn't always easy. We'll face obstacles along the way. Old habits of thinking can be hard to break, and there may be times when it feels easier to retreat into a more individualistic mindset. One common obstacle is fear. When we start to open ourselves up to a broader sense of connection, it can feel vulnerable. We might worry about being hurt or taken advantage of. It's important to acknowledge these fears, but not let them hold us back. We can learn to balance openness with healthy boundaries. Another challenge can be feeling overwhelmed by the world's problems. When we start to see how everything is connected, we might feel responsible for fixing everything at once. It's important to remember that change happens step by step. We don't have to solve all the world's problems overnight. Each positive action we take, no matter how small, contributes to the whole. Sometimes we might face resistance from others who don't understand or share our perspective. This can be discouraging, but it's important to stay true to our values. We can lead by example, showing others the benefits of a more unified approach through our actions and attitudes. As we work to overcome these obstacles, we can start to envision what a world based on unity consciousness might look like. Imagine a society where decisions are made with consideration for the well-being of all, not just a select few. Picture communities where people from diverse backgrounds come together to solve problems and celebrate their shared humanity. In this vision of a united world, we might see more sustainable practices becoming the norm as people recognize their connection to the environment. We could see a reduction in conflict as understanding and empathy replace fear and mistrust. Education systems might focus more on fostering cooperation and creativity rather than competition. The benefits of such a world could be profound. We might see improvements in mental health as people feel more connected and supported. Physical health could improve too, as unity consciousness often leads to more caring for ourselves and others. We could see technological and scientific advancements as people collaborate more effectively. Of course, this vision of a united world doesn't mean erasing all differences or creating a uniform society. Unity consciousness is about recognizing our interconnectedness while still celebrating our diversity. It's about creating a world where different perspectives are valued and where we can learn from each other. So, how do we start moving towards this vision? It begins with each of us taking action in our own lives. Here are some concrete steps you can take. Start with self-reflection. Take time each day to consider your thoughts and actions. Are they coming from a place of separation or unity? Practice shifting your perspective to see the connections between yourself and others. Educate yourself about different cultures, beliefs, and ways of life. Read books, watch documentaries, or attend cultural events. The more we understand about others, the easier it is to see our shared humanity. Practice active listening. When you're in conversation with others, really focus on understanding their perspective. Try to listen without judgment and ask questions to deepen your understanding. Look for ways to contribute to your community. This could be through volunteering, participating in local events, or simply being a good neighbor. Every positive interaction helps build a sense of unity. Make choices that consider the broader impact, whether it's the products you buy, the way you use resources, or how you treat others. Try to consider how your actions affect the whole. Practice kindness and compassion both towards others and yourself. Small acts of kindness can have a big impact on creating a more unified world. Engage in practices that foster unity consciousness, such as meditation, mindfulness, or spending time in nature. These can help you develop a deeper sense of connection. Share these ideas with others. Talk about unity consciousness with friends and family. Share resources that have inspired you. Remember, the ripple effect starts with you. Unity consciousness is about recognizing our interconnectedness with all people and all things. It's a way of thinking that can help us address the challenges we face in the world today. By breaking down barriers, harnessing the power of collective thinking, and taking practical steps in our daily lives, we can start to create a more united world. This isn't about achieving perfection. It's about moving in a positive direction, one step at a time. Every action you take, every shift in your thinking, contributes to the whole. You have the power to make a difference. So, as you go about your day, keep this question in mind. How can I bring more unity into the world today? It might be through a kind word, a thoughtful action, or a moment of connection with nature. Whatever it is, know that it matters. Because when we come together, we have the power to create a better world for all.